Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Welcome back to the channel, episode 183 of the Welcome to Asgard podcast. And tonight, we might have some technical issues because YouTube, in all of its wisdom, has decided to start getting rid of the YouTube Stream Now feature, which means now I have to schedule individual events. And so therefore, you might have issues tonight with the bots, with Heimdall. And if there are indeed issues, I really don't know exactly what I can do about it. So again, sorry in advance. But basically, I don't know exactly how to fix the issues. So I will do the very best that I can to try and get at least one of the Heimdall bots up and running. But again, I cannot promise that it will end up working the way that it should. So let me just try the very best that I can to get this stuff ready. Let me go ahead and try and connect this again. And then for the YouTube bot, let me try also connecting this again as well. And let me try and generating this token right here, because I do want this guy to be Heimdall. And I do want to allow Heimdall. It says authentication complete. So let's see. YouTube streaming service. Let's see here. I definitely want it to be YouTube. Let me try and restart the bot and see if I can get it working. But yes, indeed. So again, if you're trying to check your cookies and stuff like that, it's probably not going to end up working tonight. Hopefully this notification actually goes out. But as I said, yeah, YouTube sucks. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive into the YouTube chat before talking about my thoughts on Mulan, which I was able to watch today. Don't worry. Allegedly, no money went to Disney, but again, I cannot confirm nor deny. It looks like I do have one Heimdall up and running, which is good to see. We got Golden Ration in the chat, Tina B in the chat as well, waiting for Nerdrotic. How is it going, Laura? G-Monkey76 in the chat as well, Stephanie B in the chat. Hope you had a wonderful birthday this past week. I believe you should be getting, if you haven't gotten it already, your copy of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so I hope you enjoy that as well. 13th Warrior, how is it going? Rob D's in the chat, tagged me at 6:59, says, hey, Odin, I'm tempted to watch The Boys now because they used Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire for the Season 2 trailer. Never watched it before. Yes, and that does, I believe that song specifically comes into play in the second or third episode. If not that song, then at least a Billy Joel song. So if you're a fan of Billy Joel, it does come into play a little bit. They show a little bit of a music video from one of the Billy Joel songs. Again, I'm not an expert on his music, but yes, I'll be talking a little bit about The Boys Season 2. The first 3 episodes have been released. I have seen the first 3 episodes as well, and so I'll be giving you my thoughts on that. Bruce, who's a member on the channel, how is it going? Griffin Turbo in the chat, the Kingslayer in the chat as well. Rhaegar Targaryen says it's Odin. How's it going? Rhaegar Targaryen. Alex McCarthy, or J. Alex McCarthy Jr., as he is known in the final video on the channel. 7 p.m. Alex McCarthy, who's a member, says, howdy, Odin, how's it going? Watching a Fantasy Island movie. Ooh, let me know how that is. It didn't look, it's a movie that looked like it had some potential, and then there was something in the trailer that I was like, I don't know, this just seems too cheesy, and it could be really bad. But let me know your thoughts. Then again, you've never been one that's been known for having a really good thoughts on movies, but hey, maybe this time it'll change. Andrew Hoyle, who's a member on the channel at 7 p.m., says, I have not watched any of the new The Boys, as was waiting for all the episodes to be on so I can binge them. Andrew Hoyle, man, come on. But some of the beauty of this new way of releasing the episodes is that you get to desire the next one, and you don't get to feed, and you don't get to instantly gratify yourself. It's something that is so rare in today's world. So I would say go ahead, watch those first 3 episodes, because then if you're enjoying it, you can say, oh, I can't wait for Friday's episodes to come out. And again, that's just how I would personally view it myself. See, a Bweezy Bird just dropped a $5 super chat. So Bweezy Bird, thank you very much, says, have you seen how Grace Randolph has defended Mulan? She states people that hate Disney live-action movies are like Scorsese hating on Marvel movies. I have not seen it. I don't watch Grace Randolph. I don't think that she... I don't know. I've never been that impressed by her. I know a lot of people who've been watching my channel for a while are also people that watch her or have been kind of mixed on her. I've just never bought into it. I feel like she gives a lot of takes that are not very good. Remember, this is the same woman that defended Birds of Prey, saying it was a bad movie, but it was so important that it had to be defended. And so I look to her and I look to her opinions and views and I say, okay, well, if you're going to defend a movie and it's not because it's a good movie, but because you think the messaging is important, to me, then you've just lost any validity to any of the opinions you ever have on any film. And so I would say that would also, by extension, go to this film called Mulan, because it's not a good movie. I'm sorry, you don't have to be someone that's critical of the Disney live action to see that this film has a lot of technical issues and has objective problems. So yeah, that's just Grace Randolph trying to go on her high horse, trying to say, well, I'm going to have a more nuanced opinion on this, and anyone that disagrees with me is just, is bad, and it's just, no, you're wrong, and you just have a bias, you're no better than Scorsese. Well, remember, Scorsese was right. Grace Randolph, Scorsese was right. All right, so just because someone has an opinion, here's the thing. It actually relates to a topic that I've been covering in one of my religion classes, because we talk about how we can test for discovering what is true. And a few of those criteria are you have to have data, so there has to be agreement amongst the data. What you say has to be plausible, right? It has to have certain viability to it, and it also has to be logically consistent. One thing that is not a good test for truth, though, and this is actually something where I put it as an option on the test, and they're supposed to determine which is not a good test for truth, is what I call reliability of the proponents. Because at the end of the day, you know what's true? The truthfulness of someone or the falsity of someone. So if someone is known as being someone that tells the truth versus someone that's known for telling a lie, makes no difference on whether or not the statement they're saying is true. Their reliability means nothing and should mean nothing when it comes to the statement. What should be looked at is the statement itself. So if I say Mulan is a terrible film, and you say, well, you're not a fan of Disney, so that means your opinion is completely invalid. It's like, no. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. And so in this instance, I would say Grace Randolph is absolutely incorrect. And again, if she subjectively enjoyed it, great. That is her opinion, and I cannot attack her for her opinion. But if she's going to tell other people, oh, if you have this opinion because you don't like Disney live-action films, then therefore it's not valid, no. Again, my opinion of the film is both subjective and also is based on objective flaws that this movie absolutely has. Almost all movies, right? Every movie really has an objective flaw to it in some way or another. The question is, how many flaws does it have? Are they fatal flaws? In which this case, I would say the story has a lot of fatal flaws. And if you have fatal flaws rather in the story, I'm sorry, but you really can't have a good movie then. If you don't have a good story, or if you have major problems with the story, it's not going to work out. So yeah, Boozy Bird, I would say Grace Randolph is full of it, and she tends to be full of it a lot. So. Orange Eye Reviews is a member on the channel. How is it going? Hail Odin. Use the power of the mighty Allfather to smite that god-awful Mulan. I wish I could. There's only a few times in my life where I say, why does this movie exist? I question the movie's existence, and this is one of those times. Now, is it as bad as Artemis Fowl? No, nothing's as bad as Artemis Fowl. Artemis Fowl was complete trash. Like, that was an F movie. Like, so bad. This movie, definitely more in the DC range, I would say. And no, that was not a pun or a play on words for the DCEU. However, I don't know. Maybe it still works. You all know my opinion on that. Donotas Felicitas, how's it going? The Packins in the chat as well. Griffin Turbo. Joseph Ippolito, rather. How is it going? General Wingster, my pet troll. Hello, bald, bearded, and beautiful. Well, thank you for the triple Bs. The K-Man, how's it going? Dude, the K-Man, I hope your launch of your album went very well. Let me know how it went. And if you want to support the K-Man, I believe my Valkyrie should be able to find links to at least the K-Man's Twitter. If not, go back to the Chosen of Valhalla chat, and there should be links in there. If there aren't links in there, the K-Man, if you want them to post that throughout the night, please feel free to send that through the group chat for the month of August. I'll be creating one for September soon. That way they can share it, because everything that he makes, every penny that he makes from his new album's release is going to receive, or rather is going to go towards helping those people who are struggling with depression. It's going to go specifically towards those places that help people deal with mental illness. So definitely consider supporting him, one, for the music, and two, also because the money that you spend on his album will be going directly to a good cause. Let's just see here. Nathan Slay, how's it going? Nathan Slay says, hey dude, I guess we cannot ask you questions yet because of you doing a Mulan review. Yeah, I wouldn't ask questions when I haven't given my review yet. Kick44, how is it going? Becky Browand, how's it going? As a matter of fact, how's it going? Glad to see you here. Slicer Neons is in the chat, 701 tag, and says, let's get down to business to review Mulan. Yeah, that's a song that you won't find in this new iteration of Mulan. They try and give some credence to it at some point where they're like, oh yeah, let's just play a little bit of it. But yeah, there's no singing. And it's terrible. Bruce, YouTube sucks. It really, really sucks. Yes, it does. You're right about that. All right, the chat has jumped on me as it always does. And so let me just make sure I can find where I was in the chat. And boom, cool. Let me say hello to my D-Live people. We got Captain Mr. Roy over there and Captain Dean Heiss. How's it going? Thank you all very much for joining over on the D-Live fam tonight. But yes, let me go ahead and give you some thoughts on Mulan. All right, so let's start off with some of the positives with Mulan, because there are a couple of positives. For one, the score is actually pretty good. Whoever it was that composed the movie, I think did a pretty good job. Again, the music was definitely serviceable. I wish that it had been in a better movie because I think it could have been a more memorable score had it been attached to scenes that were emotional, because the music was emotional. The scenes that they were playing behind, though, not really as much. So the score, definitely a positive, definitely something that I can say positive things about. The second positive thing that I can say, as far as like major pluses go, would be the stunt team, because this is obviously more of an action film. And because it's an action film, it means that you have to have more stunt people. And I think that they did a great job. So kudos to the stunt team. You know, even though the shots don't look very good, you're still doing great work in those shots. You're doing the best thing that you can. You were told, hey, this is what we want you to do. We want you to run up this wall. Don't ask us how it makes any sense for this more grounded and realistic take on the legend of Mulan. We'll have people running up walls somehow by magic or some sort. But still, there were people that were doing it, and they did a great job. It looked realistic. And again, everything that was not CGI looked fine as far as the effects go and as far as the stunt team and stunt work went. So kudos to the stunt team. I would also have to say it looked fine. Again, it looked serviceable as far as it being shot. But then again, most movies nowadays, especially big budget films like this one, which cost $200 million production budget alone, meaning it cost roughly $300 million at least when you added marketing cost, and probably cost more than that because of the shutdown and because everything shut down right before its release. And so they've had to continue to promote it. So again, how much of that cost? It's really hard for us to say one way or the other, but let's assume $300 million. That means that they have to make what? Around $550 million just to break even. And again, that's not me doing the actual math on that, but still, they have to make a crap ton just to break even on it. So when you spend that kind of money, yeah, it's going to look good. You're going to have high-res cameras. You're going to have just, again, that general look and scope and feel. You have competent camera operators. You have competent people working on it because you can afford them. Okay, great. Now, framing and stuff like that, I just wasn't really blown away by what I was seeing on screen. But again, it's mostly serviceable. Acting, too. There are a few actors in there that I thought did a great job with what they were given. I would not say that the young lady that played Mulan was one of them. She was very stoic throughout the movie. It was interesting because she actually does show some emotion. She's smiling in one of the first shots that you see her. She's riding on a horse smiling, and then you get these really terrible CGI rabbits for some reason that she's running along with, and okay, no need for having rabbits in this scene, and not only that, but you make it a terrible CGI rendition of a rabbit? Okay, fine. Yeah, continue to do that. There's a lot of CGI moments in this movie that aren't very good, but let's, again, staying positive here. So she's smiling as she's riding on the horse, and I'm like, oh, look at that. So she can convey and show emotion. And yet in every other scene after that, stoic, no emotion whatsoever. And her sad face is the same as her angry face, is the same as her concerned face, and it all just blends together. And it's really sad because obviously she is not a trained, or she's not someone that's been acting for a long time. You can tell that she's obviously young, she's green when it comes to this, and so it shows on screen. It's not terrible. It's not like, again, it's not like Artemis Fowl bad, where this, the young child was being told to do stuff that you're like, what in the hell am I watching? But it's still also not good either, right? But her father, I thought, did a great job. When you look to I'm trying to say Jet Li was in the movie too, and he was okay, but his role was limited, so it's really kind of hard to say whether it was good or not. But obviously Donnie Yen was in it, and Donnie Yen to me was my favorite actor in the movie just because it's Donnie Yen and he's a badass, and you can tell that he didn't need a stuntman because he was probably doing a lot of his own stunts, including a lot of the martial arts stuff that he was doing. So I was like, dude, boom, Donnie Yen, awesome to see you on screen again. So there's good things. So again, there are some good things there. The problem though is that the story sucks. The story is abysmal. They're trying again, the whole marketing campaign and the whole reason why they're like, oh, we're doing this because we want to market this to a Chinese audience and we want to make sure this is more accurate to the story. We want to make sure this is more accurate to the original legend that this entire thing is based off of. So we're going to focus specifically on that. All while they're doing that, they're then adding in random fantastical things that were not even in the original animation. For instance, you have the scene of the hordes, which are not called the Huns in this movie. They're called something else, the Roans or something like that. Again, something I had never heard of before, but not called the Huns. So obviously that was probably done for political reasons. And again, they're trying to sell it in China. And so you can't make people mad over there since that's the people that you're trying to get to spend your movie on, buy your movie. But guess what? Turns out, based on reports that we're getting, not a lot of people are planning to go see it in China, most likely. And if it bombs in China, guess what? It's not making any money at all. So you have that whole thing happening with them no longer being the Huns, and yet somehow they can run up walls. Yeah. Because of this chi thing that also comes up into the movie. So that's also another story element brought in, just dropped in randomly. Oh, everyone has chi, but she has a special use of the chi. Almost in this chosen one sense, kind of very similar to Rey in the Last Jedi and in The Force Awakens and in the Disney Star Wars, right? Where she's just magically good at things. She doesn't need to be trained. She just has the power. That's exactly what Mulan has. She never gets trained. She simply has this ability to randomly do magical things that make no sense logically. Also, apparently the Huns can do the same thing. I'm just going to call them the Huns because the Ruan, whatever the hell they're called, really hard to really tell what exactly is being said and described about them. So, yeah, the Huns can run up the walls, which makes no damn sense. They then add in this bird woman witch, chi, master person, who can turn into a bird, turn into 100,000 birds, but also was focused on the fact that she has chi, and there's this relationship between her and Mulan, where she's basically noticing, oh, Mulan, you're just like I was, and I was rejected, and that's how I became this thing, and you're gonna, you're just discovering your powers, right? She has powers. She has powers now, called a chi, right? So it's powers. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Dragon Ball Evolution. And if anyone's ever seen Dragon Ball Evolution, you know that movie was terrible. Oh, you got to focus on your chi, though, with terrible effects and a story that's nonsensical, etc. So you get that. You get that in this movie, too. Nonsensical crap. All the songs are cut out. All the heart of the film is cut out. And that, of course, does not, benefit the story whatsoever. You obviously get a focus on Mulan here, and it's, again, a message of, okay, you're a strong female, and you can be a leader in the military, and you can just kick everyone's tush, but not because you get trained, not because you actually have to work to get there, not because the women can do stuff now, as was one of the clips that Gary played last night, but because she has a power, because she has this special ability that just makes her good, no matter what. And as we all know, that's never compelling. When you add in this almost deus ex machina approach to filmmaking and to storytelling, where someone's just magically good at something and can handle any situation with no training at all, it makes you not care about that character at all. It makes their whole development so uninteresting because she never has to struggle. The most she struggles in the entire movie is when she's getting to the army and she gets tired for a little bit, which then, of course, gets surpassed by the fact that her magical ancestor, who is a phoenix, who randomly appears throughout the movie. They do away with Mushu. There's no Mushu in this. Oh no, can't have Mushu in this because, oh no, that's too cartoonish. We're trying to be more real. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a very CGI looking, terrible CGI looking phoenix come in at random points to help guide her along her path and guide her way. Okay, great. Very realistic of you to do so. on top of the whole chi thing where she can just come up, jump up and kick spears and make them go. And then, of course, there's that one scene that's being leaked all over Twitter where someone throws, Jet Li's character throws the arrow up in the air and she's able to do like a flip kick and hit the arrow at the exact right spot and make it go as if it were shot out of a quiver, because that's how, physics and science works, right? But don't forget, hey, more realistic. This is a much more grounded. We can't have songs in this movie. It's more true to the original story and the original legend. And yet we're going to add in all of these terrible things and all these terrible elements. So the story, complete and utter garbage. And then, of course, you get to the CGI. And the CGI in this film is so cringeworthy. And the fact that they had extra months to get the CGI just perfect, and yet they didn't do that, is so frustrating. Obviously, you have the bird woman, who obviously becomes CGI at certain points. You obviously have some of the effects where she's doing all these random flippity-doos, which are not done by the stunt people. The stunt people did a great job when they're doing the flippity-doos, but when they're doing it as CGI, because she's doing something that's impossible for even the stunt team to do, they have to do that, and it just doesn't look very good. And then, of course, you also have the various elements like the CGI rabbits, which look terrible, the CGI phoenix, which, again, looks god-awful. And yet, in the very beginning of the movie, I think you have one of the worst uses of CGI because, one, it looks bad, but two, it was completely useless, and it was completely non-essential to the story at all. It was completely unnecessary. And what it is that you have a group of Huns riding along. This is before they run up the wall, by the way. And then all of a sudden you have the leader, right? Remember the very, the very intense and scary leader from the original 98 Mulan, and he was such a badass. Okay, well, we get that guy. He's not nearly as menacing, but guess what? He's wrapped in a garment, right? He's wrapped in essentially a scarf of sorts, and yet as he's riding along, how do we get his reveal? Oh, it just magically starts to unravel and slip off. And then he has this grin of just and it's just, no, you're not scary. You're just creepy looking and cheesy looking. And there's a really cheesy close-up of you. And you know what happens next? Oh, that scarf, which was obviously CGI on his face, then flies away. And you know what the camera does? The camera then follows that CGI scarf as it flies into the air for an aerial shot of the horseman riding, which is also CGI. Now, why in the hell would you ever think, you know what this scene needs? This scene needs us to, one, create a CGI scarf, but two, to then focus on that CGI scarf and have it fly away. Now, we're not going to make it look good. We're not going to make it look passable. We're going to make it look so bad that everyone who has a brain is going to question it. So you have terrible storytelling, terrible CGI. All the other elements are kind of there a little bit, kind of, sort of. But again, if you don't have a story and you don't have a compelling story, a well-written story, a story that makes sense, and a story that is not filled with so many holes and so many just, oh my gosh, I can't believe they actually did that nonsense, you don't have a movie. Which is why, for me, I gave this film a giant Disney Plus, a D+. Now, could I have given it a C-? Yeah, I was definitely leaning in that direction. But I'm like, you know what? This movie really isn't good. It's completely unnecessary. It's yet another addition to the terrible live-action remakes that we've gotten, and every single one of them, every single one of these live-action remakes of these classic animations have not been very good. Now, some might put things out there like Pete's Dragon. I've never seen it. I can't speak to that film. Or Cinderella. Well, Cinderella, remember, has been around for a long time. There's been many editions, both animated and live-action, that have been done, and that one I have seen, and I can say, yeah, for the live-action, it did a pretty good job, because you know what? It's kept to the story. It didn't try and change anything too much. And also, because of that, it was a consistent story and also didn't use a whole lot of really bad CGI. Did use it. Wasn't great, but it was at least passable. And they only used it when they really had to. But yes, Mulan. Terrible film. Completely unnecessary. And I would not recommend anyone see it. Especially don't spend $30 on it. Anyone that's spending $30 on it, I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you. All right, let me jump over to my D-Live fam and catch up with them. So let's see. Yajit, thanks for the lemon donation. Will Gentry, how is it going as well? Captain Nihai says, so they're worried about this being more true to the legend, but when it comes to Little Mermaid, well, true to story doesn't matter. Exactly. It's interesting how they only will say what it is that they think will sell the movie, because they thought, oh yeah, we're being more true to the Chinese legend, and that's going to make the Chinese audiences go gaga. Yeah, but they also still want to see a good story. they still also want to see a character that's not going to have a sourpuss on the whole time and be unconvincing as a lead. But apparently Disney does not think they're that smart. So if you are part of the audience in China, one, you're probably not getting this anyway because you're under a communist dictatorship, which, hey, by the way, now would be a good time to fight against it. Seriously. Overthrow communism. It's not a good thing. But again, you're not going to be seeing this anyway because communists are not allowing you to. But if somehow it gets through, if somehow you have a VPN or some way of finding it, hey, it's time to overthrow that government, man, because, yeah, it's not good. But yes, none of the music is in there. And one theme, though, you hear throughout the film is reflection. And again, the score it's a beautiful rendition of reflection. It's just sad because you're looking at what's going on screen. You're like, what? What the hell is this? Oh, I didn't even talk about one of the worst parts of it, too. So she obviously has the armor on, right? She steals her father's armor, her father's sword, right? We all know this from the original animation. Well, she's talking to Bird Woman, and Bird Woman tells her, hey, you're lying to yourself, and that's poisoning your chi. So now apparently this mystical chi that somehow came into existence can be poisoned now when you're not being true to who you are. And so what does that mean? That means, oh, now I need to ride off and I need to strip off my father's armor, leaving it, by the way, never getting it back. So the father's armor that's probably been in the family for, however many generations. Oh, I'm just going to tear that off and leave it behind by choice. And then I'm going to put my hair down and my hair is going to be flowing in the wind. And now I'm being me. Now I'm being who I'm actually supposed to be. And now look at me. I am woman. Hear me roar. Going right into the battle with no armor on whatsoever. And now she can whip everyone's ass. Yep, that happened too. So yeah, this movie is not good. It's not good at all. If you really want to watch Mulan, watch the 90-minute, much shorter version that's animated because, one, it's entertaining, and two, it's a much better story. And guess what? It has still that very strong female character portrayal, that strong female character story, and does such a better job. Yep. So if you have any questions about it, I will, of course, be willing to answer them. So let me go ahead and jump back into the YouTube chat. Waiting for Nadrak. Laura says, oh no, Ryan Kindle is excommunicado. Ooh, did Ryan decide to start streaming while I'm streaming? That's a big nay-nay. We do have 72 people watching, though, so thank you for being here. Smash the like button. Yeah, Ryan. I thought I knew you better than that. Bonanaba says, excommunicado, Josiah Rise is for streaming at 8 p.m. tonight. Well, Josiah Rise is already excommunicado, so I cannot add an excommunicado to that one. James Dossier, what's going on? Doshier or Dossier? I don't know. Dossier just sounds fancier. Dean Heiss is a member. Is in the chat as well. How is it going? Stephanie B says, I did. It was a really great day. Glad to hear it, Stephanie B, and glad that it came in. Makes me very, very, very happy. As a matter of fact, I heard Mulan sucked. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Again, if you subjectively enjoy it, go right ahead. But don't tell other people, oh, you can't have an opinion if you don't like any of the other Disney live actions. You're no better than Scorsese. Well, Scorsese was right. Sorry. Alice McCarthy says, it's cheesy, but it is fun, not woke and no nudity. Well, that's good to hear. That makes me happy. Orange Harvey says, I don't even know who Grace Randolph is, so yeah, don't look her up. It's okay. You're not missing anything. Andrew Hoyle at 705 says, am I supposed to know who Grace Randolph is? Hey, it's okay. Waiting for Nerdrotic. Laura says, Grace Randolph loves anything with feminist themes. Of course she does. Right? That's why she'll defend bad movies like Mulan, apparently. And like we know what she did with Birds of Prey, which I also was able to finally see over the last couple weeks in that movie. Dear Lord, I have no idea how anyone can defend it. Like, Mulan's bad, but Birds of Prey, holy crap. Holy crap. Bruce says, I just walked back in. You must be talking about Grace Randolph. Laura says, I just destroyed a cinnamon roll. Delicious, but now I feel the need to lay down. Well, cinnamon roll sounds delicious, and yes, please make sure you go and rest. Tina B says, there's so much Alphabet People stuff going on in the media right now to support that crappy Mulan movie, stuff that has nothing to do with the actual movie. They're so full of themselves. Yep, absolutely. And that's why anyone that criticizes this movie is going to be an ist. Right? Oh, you just don't like it because it stars a strong Asian female lead. It's like, really? That's what you're gonna talk about? That's where you're gonna go with this? Really? Because I can tell you, in my quest to find it, allegedly, there was another version of Mulan playing at some point, allegedly, and it looked a lot better. As soon as I saw blood, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this can't be the right Mulan because this new Mulan, yeah, by the way, no bloodshed, PG-13, For action fight scenes, somehow people die without bleeding, by the way. They show a lot of bodies with no blood. Now, I didn't realize that someone could die I guess they're all having heart attacks on the battlefield, or, maybe aneurysms or strokes or something. I don't know. But apparently they're not being, cut down because there's no blood. In fact, there are literally 3 or 4 drops of blood in the entire movie. And it's when Mulan cuts the hand of Bird Woman. And as Bird Woman's watching, the camera goes to the ground and you see drop, drop, drop. And that's it. That's all the blood you get. About 3 or 4 drops. In a PG-13 action film featuring war scenes. Yeah. Oh, yes, indeed. Isn't that interesting? Eshavir Singh, how is it going? That's a new name in the chat. Bioman, how's it going? Hey, the Slate Tatted says, are you sure The Fanatic isn't worse than Artemis Fowl? Dude, okay, look. The Fanatic is not a good movie. The Fanatic is a bad movie, but it's so bad, it's good. Artemis Fowl is just a terrible movie with no redeeming factor to it whatsoever. Andrew Hoyle says, I ask myself, why does this movie exist a lot? Last was probably Midway. Yeah, Midway was not very good. Yeah, a lot of people were saying, you need to watch it. It's not bad. I'm sorry, that CGI was terrible. The lead actor could not carry the story at all. It wasn't very good. It wasn't as bad as the movies I'm talking about right now, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Tina B says, oh, come on. It's got to be as bad as Artemis Fowl. It's not as bad. No, Tina B. It's not. Trust me. As I said, this at least has a score, at least has competent cinematography, at least has, some competency throughout the movie. Artemis Fowl has nothing. Again, I really can't remember any redeeming quality to that movie whatsoever. Tina then says, the so-called actress took her acting lessons from Brie and Tessa, and she's a CCP supporter. In my book, that makes her excommunicated. Yeah, seriously, yeah. So that doesn't help either, which is why you see in many Asian countries, there is a call to boycott this movie. And one of the reasons why is because the lead actress herself is a supporter of the Communist Party. She took the side of the commies over the people protesting. I'm sorry, anyone that takes the side of a communist should never be trusted. Just throwing it out there. So, as I said, if you're spending $30, guess what? Some of that money is probably going somewhere to China. And if you want to support communists, you can go right ahead. I choose not to. I will say nay, nay. I will say nay, nay to that. All right, the chat has jumped on me like it always does. So let's see where we left off in the chat. It looks like some comments may have been skipped, but it's 7:13 now in the chat over there. And Andrew Hoyle, SF14, who's a member, says, Mulan Sue. Yeah, it's a Mulan Sue. No doubt about it at all. Camden Heiss over on DLAV says, Josiah could be on Double Secret Excommunicado. I can't do that. Double Secret Excommunicado, that's crazy talk. What do you talk about? Poppyton, dude, Poppyton. Back in the DLive fam, Poppyton. It's been too long, man. Glad to see you back. Hope you're doing well. All right, back over to YouTube. Rhaegar Targaryen tagged at 7:15 and says, hashtag no Mushu, no peace. Exactly. You want to boycott something? You want to get angry over something? No Mushu in Mulan. They replace it instead with a random phoenix with terrible CG that doesn't speak. I would much rather have Mushu. Tan Fan, what's going on? I see that name in the chat saying she's been active for 15 years. She's only, 20? And also, as I said, just because you've been acting in various roles for 15 years doesn't matter. The length of time in which you've been acting does not determine whether you're a good actor or not. The quality of the movies that you've been in, that has a determining factor. I've never heard of this woman before. Someone maybe who knows more so about Asian cinema, if you can tell me that she's been in major roles before, please, if you can give me a role or a similar role in a similar fashion that is as big as Mulan by Disney, I am all ears. If not, though, the comment still stands and is still correct because she is still very green. And again, if it isn't her, then it's the director, which, by the way, it's funny because as soon as the movie ended, I was like, I kind of wonder, did they try and do in this film what they did with Captain Marvel too? Yeah, guess what they did? Female director. They put 3 female writers and 1 male writer together. You had 4 writers, which is probably why the story sucked. right? That has nothing to do with gender. It's when you have 4 writers in a movie, sometimes it can just be chaotic. But female director, female cinematographer. So it's like, oh, I see what you're doing here. You're trying to go with the whole female power in front of and behind the camera. Problem is that when you do that for the sake of doing it and not trying to get the actual best people for the job available, your film's going to suffer. Simple as that. Wouldn't surprise me if you saw something similar in the CGI department and all the other places, because we have to do it. No, you don't. Best people for the job. Simple as that. Latino Slant 17 is a member. Hail Odin, pray all is well. Thank you very much, Latino Slant. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Tina B says, the Rohans. The Rohans? The Rohans? So the men of Rohan are riding to China and bypass Gondor, just wondering. That would have been a better story. Oh, if we had the riders of Gondor coming in instead of the Huns, it wouldn't make any sense, but you know what? Same actors? Oh, that would have been much better. Rohan and Gondor coming together, that would have been a story. Andrew Hoyle, so is Gandalf with them? I mean, they're climbing up walls. Not climbing, running up walls, so would make just as much sense. As a matter of fact, do you think that directors are getting scared to give their actors direction? If they are given criticism, they will go on Twitter. Yeah, pretty much, it seems, right? I think that's kind of what we see going on with DC, right? In a little bit. Yeah, I would say so, because that's when you see a bad performance, it's one of two things. It's either the actor or it's the director. Because sometimes there are good actors that give bad performances. Key example, I go to that death scene in The Dark Knight Rises of Talia al Ghul. That death scene was terrible. The actress is very talented, is very, very good. And so it's obvious that in that instance, right, Nolan must have been more focused on the bigger picture and on the film stock or whatever, because I don't know why that's the one that he went with, but it wasn't the right one. And so that obviously was something where he gave her direction. And so either he said, yep, that's exactly what I wanted, in which case that's also on the director, or he told her to do that, in which case that's definitely on the director. So whether a director says to do something specific or allows something to happen, it's on them too. It's on them as well. And I would not be surprised if some of the bad acting in the movie has a lot to do with the director as well. All right, let us see. Again, if you have a comment or question, you can either super chat, donate via Streamlabs, or you can tag Odin Question, all one word, Odin Question. It'll highlight orange on the screen. Again, just read this down below. It explains everything. Explains everything. I'm always about 20 minutes behind. And also, again, you have to put that. If you don't put that, I will not see it. The pack and tag 717, I think it was Clownfish TV who says Mulan is like a Chinese version of Frozen. Well, not nearly as much with the powers at the very least, but in some ways, yes, because she does have powers for some reason. It's terrible. Venom Broly 93, how's it going? He then tags Dragon Ball Evolution, pure blasphemy. Yep. That's what I would say about this story of Mulan. Compared to the animation especially, pure blasphemy. Games Repository, how's it going? Rhaegar Targaryen tagged 719. So you're saying in the plot, Mulan is the key to everything, as Gary would say. Essentially, yes. Now, not to the same extent in other films. So that's why I would say that it's kind of similar to the whole Rey thing, right? Where Rey's kind of supposed to be like this chosen one mentality. Mulan has it to an extent, but the story doesn't talk about how there was going to be a chosen one, or that, oh, she was the one that everyone's been waiting for. It doesn't really go that direction. However, she has the powers that indicate that she is the only person that could have possibly saved the Emperor, the only one that could have possibly understood and figured out the plan and everything. So, yeah, they insinuate it more so than directly tell like they do in Star Wars. General Wingster says, Odin, didn't you know? Apparently working hard is white male, cultural, and racist sexist. Yep. Apparently that is the case now because of the color of one's skin. Apparently, isn't it interesting how they're like, oh, wait, so you're going after people for being istophobes by yourself being an istonophobe. Because what you're saying is because of the color of someone's skin, it means that they must be this. I don't think they catch the irony of that statement. I don't think they catch the irony of what they're saying and how they are totally contradicting themselves, which obviously they don't because they're idiots. They're moronic. Latino Slant is a member, says, looks like I'm rewatching the animated movie. Do that instead. one, it's something that you probably already own. If it doesn't, you can get it for much cheaper than $30 for their brand new version. And guess what? It's better in every way. Thanatos Felicitas says, was the Phoenix in Harry Potter better? It was probably about the same. And that's not a good thing, because keep in mind, that film with the Phoenix, Order of the Phoenix came, or rather, not Order of the Phoenix, but Fox, the Phoenix, right, who appears in the Harry Potter films, that happened, 15 years plus ago? That means 15 plus years of animation, and it looks about the same? That's how bad it is. Because, again, for the time, for Harry Potter, it looked fine, but it actually looked very similar to that Phoenix. So part of me is like, I wonder if they borrowed some of the designs for that one to try and save on money and to save on time. And even then, they still couldn't make it look better. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Orange Hat Review says, wait, that was Jet Li? Yeah, so Jet Li played the Emperor. Balin Hobbit says, worst film, Mulan versus Avatar. They're both bad, because they both have terrible stories. They both have CG problems. However, obviously, I think Avatar CG is better, because even though the people look terrible, the people and the characters, I'm sorry, the CG is not, that just really isn't that convincing. I know some people still want to die on that hill that Avatar is still the most amazing looking film. Yeah, the world looks great. The world looks fantastic. Absolutely. And that's where Avatar would have the leg up. I wouldn't want to see either of them again. So I will not let you choose. I will not let you make me and force me to decide between those two, because I will not choose either of them. Orange Hat at 722, Odin, I miss the dragon Mushu. He doesn't do that tongue thing. Hiss. Exactly. We don't get that. There's no humor in the film either. You know what's so funny? The same critics that were being critical of Tenet for being humorless, I don't hear them saying a damn thing about this movie. There's no humor to be had in it whatsoever. Oh, that's because it's supposed to be serious. Oh, it's supposed to be serious. Oh, that's right, because it's supposed to be more historically accurate by having Hans run up walls and she magically coming into existence, which allows her to have superpowers. Oh, okay. Oh, and then adding a brand new character that can turn into a bird, turn into 100,000 birds, and has magical powers too. Oh, okay. Okay. Fine. Yeah, I can see how you'll go after Tenet for its story, but you'll leave Mulan alone. Okay, I got it. Sorry, I had to check my privilege for a second just to make sure that I was getting that right. Thenotos Felicitas, I liked Jerry Lewis in Cinderella 1960. I've actually never seen that version. Bruce then says, I've seen a China version of Mulan, and it was good. Yeah, the one that I saw wasn't, again, I wouldn't say it was good per se, but it was better. I mean, the action had still that same kind of where she was kicking people and they were flying back hundreds of feet. I'm like, no, thank you. But it was still also better because it was not, here's the thing. That version was not trying to be more historic and more grounded in reality like this one was supposed to. So that's why it's more of a problem for that one. Venom Broly, good story in Hollywood 2020s. Oh, you Mr. Optimistic. I know, right? How could I expect a good story from Hollywood in 2020? But guess what? I got one. I did get one. And it was in a film called Tenet, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Now, I will admit, the story is not for everyone. It's going to make a lot of people mad, and I will totally understand why you're mad. But I think the story is great. Orange Hat at 726 says, Liu Yifei was better in Forbidden Kingdom. It's a guilty pleasure. Oh, wait a minute. Does she play the main girl in Forbidden Kingdom? Isn't that the one with Jackie Chan? Because if that's the case, that film was fun. I agree. You say guilty pleasure. I think that's a perfect explanation for that movie. But if she's was she the main girl that was interacting with the guy? Because if that's the case, from what I remember, she wasn't very good performance-wise. I might need to watch that one again just to make sure, because I honestly don't remember. Lord Toth at 728. Ugh, this was awful. I know. So bad. And then, of course, Lord Toth says, terrible movie. Yep. General Wingster says, Odin, you're not a Chinese woman. How dare you? How dare me? It wasn't made for you, right? So that's going to be the other excuse. It wasn't made for you, all right? You're not Asian. You're not female, and so therefore your opinion's invalid. No, That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. That would be like me telling you, oh, Luke Skywalker, Star Wars, hey, if you didn't like it, well, it wasn't made for you, right? It stars a white man. And if you're not a white man, you can't enjoy it. That's ridiculous. It's just as ridiculous there as it is talking about this film. It's amazing how the people calling other people ists and phobes are themselves actual ists and phobes. It's amazing. Waiting for Nerdrock Laura says, I made it on 10 minutes into Birds of Prey. What a stinker. Oh, yeah. I watched the whole thing. I somehow got through it. I think I was eating something, or I was randomly like, okay, what's going on Twitter? I was like, this is just not good. Just not good. It's so bad. The fact that they spent all this time on a cheese sandwich, I was like, an egg and cheese sandwich, I was like, no. And then, of course, the excuse is, well, if you're a woman, you'd understand. No, shut up. Shut up. Oh, Dion, what's going on, man? Jacob75, what's going on, sir? Says, how's it going? How's it going? Slasher Neon 729, disrespecting family heirlooms, insults, Eastern cultural beliefs. Disney did not do their homework. Too busy ripping off Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Yep. And it doesn't do it better. Doesn't do those elements better at all, Slicer. And yeah, you're right. You're right, because that was very important. And it's interesting because at the very end, there's this whole story with her father's sword, and it has characters on it that mean things like, I think, honor and truth, right? And so obviously she's like, well, I need to be true, not just to my family, but to myself. That whole nonsense. And then so she pleases the Emperor, though, and so the Emperor gives her a sword that has those same letters because she loses her father's sword. Because it falls into a vat of perfectly placed lava. Yeah, perfectly placed molten lava is there, and it melts into it because it lands perfectly there. And that's the other thing, too. I'm just remembering this right, where they're in this random building, and then all of a sudden it's like, I think it's like a forge or something is how they're trying to play it. But then all of a sudden, like, the forge gets lit. And I was like, they're not doing anything with the forge. There's no reason for this except for really bad CGI-looking fire. And then I'm like, oh, wait, now I've realized the only reason it was there was to have a plot explanation as to how the sword got destroyed. Oh, it is so bad. So anyway, so she is given a new sword by the Emperor after she's been asked to be the head of one of the soldiers in his guard. And that might be more true to the story, but again, with everything else going on, it really doesn't matter. And so on it, you have the 3 letters that were on her father's sword, and then on the back it says devotion to family. Interesting that devotion to family is on there and as a virtue, and yet you're right. She throws away her father's armor to be true to herself. Got it. Thursday the Warrior 729. Why must you disparage others virtually signaling? Do you expect reason and intelligence? Your privilege is showing. I know. How dare I expect people to use their brains. Mark Lisseth, what's going on? Let's see. Alex McCarthy is a member. Birds of Prey sucked. Yep, even I thought it sucked. Yeah, when Alex says it sucked, it's just, I mean. Angela Schmalke, what's going on? Let's see. And then one else who's tagged. Dean Heiss retracted a couple of messages. Thanosa Felicitas says, I remember when PG-13 meant someone got their heart ripped out. I missed the Temple of Doom. Yeah. Remember, PG-13, you can drop one F-bomb. We know that Disney wasn't going to do that, which is fine. And I think that overuse of foul language is not smart or clever. I think it's actually very lazy in writing. But the fact that you have these battles happening and realistic, you're trying to make it realistic and grounded in reality, and you just have bodies laying down, which is another thing too. All of the bodies, both alive and dead, have perfectly clean armor with bright colors, no dust whatsoever. It's amazing because they show all this dust and they show all this mud and dirt, and yet all their clothing is totally clean. Their faces get dirt on it, but then you look at their faces, you're like, okay, wait, your face is dirty, but your clothing is pristine. That's not how this works. So, as I said, very, very big problems with the story and continuity and everything else. So bad. So bad. Tina says, no, I said it was okay. Context Midway, but I'd watch it a million times over Mulan Ray. Oh, yeah, for sure. I would much rather watch Midway over Mulan, but I'd also rather not ever watch it again either. Yeah, again. I wasn't saying you, Tina. There were other people that said it was good. And it wasn't. All right, so the chat has jumped on me like it normally does. And let us see where we got left off. G-Monkey76 says, Midway was better than Dunkirk. Changed my mind. So here's the thing. I think Dunkirk is a better made movie, talking about the cinematography, direction, just the way the film looks, the score, all great. And then for story, I would say that they're both lacking certain elements in their storytelling and characters. But I would say, yeah, Midway, I think, has a few better characters, because at least Midway has characters and has arcs. Unlike Dunkirk, which I'm like, wait, who was in the movie? What was their story again? I honestly forgot, because it just was kind of just glossed over. So in some ways, yes, but to me, they're kind of on this even ground, to be perfectly honest, because I really do think that objectively, Dunkirk has Midway beat in almost every way, except for the writing, where they're kind of on an even playing field. Orange Hat says, I went forward in time with my Infinity Ring to view alternate timelines of Mulan's financial status. I saw 14,605 timelines. All of them revealed the same outcome. Mulan sucked and failed. Well, there's still a chance. There is still a chance it could do well. Again, it has not been, it hasn't been officially released in China yet. It will be soon. But the big thing, even people like Scotty Boy Mendelssohn's coming out saying there's a chance that this film's not going to make money. They're already making excuses. And of course, the big one is that because Disney decided to release it on Disney Plus, it made access for hackers to get in and to download it and to put it on, Pirate Bay, etc., much easier. It made their job much easier, and not only easier, but to have a better quality product to put out there too. And apparently Disney did not do its normal due diligence in trying to prevent that kind of thing from happening. And so because of that, though, a lot of people now have been able to see it for free. And because it's not good, you're not going to see people spending that $30 on Disney Plus. And you're probably going to, because of these boycotts especially. Jacob Juice, what's going on, good sir? Says, Dear Odin, it's great to see you again. Are you doing well, sir? Just came back from watching Tenet in IMAX. Mind-boggling. Loved it, and I'm so glad that you liked the film. Jacob Juice, thanks for being here, man. You're always very, 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 very kind to me. So thank you so much for saying that. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, dude, I'm glad you like Tenet as well. Tenet is definitely a film that is, splitting a lot of people. John Flickinger is not as much of a fan of it as I am. He doesn't hate the movie, but he has a lot more problems with it than I do. And again, for me, I thought it was good. I thought it was enjoyable. And again, I see someone else in here who's made a couple comments now trying to get my attention. Again, you have to, it's the one rule I have, right? I don't make people super chat or donate, but if you have to at least type this right here. See, Odin question, all one word. It highlights orange on my screen. Notice how it says, if you have a comment or question, no matter how many times I say it or how many times it goes across the screen, some people just can't quite get it yet. I don't understand why. I don't get it. But I don't care how. She's a commie. End of story. We're humans. We have free will. And also, with her being an actress and being someone who obviously is getting a paycheck from Disney, of all places, if you're going to tell me, oh, she can't get out of it, patooey. Patooey. I spit at you. Because that's just nonsense. Oh my God, yes. Someone said Chamber of Secrets was 2002. That's right. Sorry, 18 years. 18 years. Thank you. I knew it was more than 15. I did say more than 15. Or at least 15, which indicates more. So 20 points for Ravenclaw, someone said. Oh, man. Jace Doe, what's going on, good sir? Jace Doe says, oh, never thought I would hear hard work and earning your way through merit would be called sexist or racist. Wow, they need to stop it with the gender studies BS with these colleges. I agree. And that's why I think that, we already have the president who has stopped all of this stupid training in government positions where people were taught about privilege and were taught about just nonsensical stuff. Glad that stopped. Next step, federal government should say no student loans will be issued to any student that goes on to pursue worthless degrees like gender studies. That would be great. That would be fantastic. And you know what? How about this? No federal student loans will be granted unless you're going to a trade school. That, I think, makes more sense. Because at that point, you're going to a trade school, you're going therefore to learn a trade, you're going to learn something that is going to be beneficial to society and the culture, so it makes more sense for the government to invest in you and to back you in your studies there. Doesn't make as much sense if you're going into liberal arts. Again, as you know, as someone that has a liberal arts degree, it makes sense to me that way. Let's see. General Wingster, who's my pet troll, says this: Mulan is objectively better than Tenet. Search your feelings, you know it to be true. General Wingster, you are completely wrong in almost every single way. Waiting for Draglora says, not sure if I'll ever be able to enjoy Ewan McGregor movies now. No. Venom 93, you're not a giant blue cat. Avatar is not made for you. My so catapho. Sorry. So sorry. Mulan on Mustafar. It wasn't that fiery, all right? It wasn't Mustafar fiery, but as I said, it was almost as if they were trying to have it be, this is a forge. But yeah, somehow there was molten lava stuff coming out. It was just, what? Oh, it was just there to destroy the sword. Now it makes sense. Now I get it. It was a plot convenience. That makes much more sense. All right, let's see. Over on DLive, let's see if anyone's left any comments over there. Will Gentry, how's it going? Poppyton, thank you for the ice cream donation. Camden Heiss says, when I saw the running up the walls in the trailer, I said, I'm out. Yeah, I didn't notice that in the trailers because honestly, I think I saw the trailer once because I just was like, I'm not that impressed by it. And if I had seen it, I probably would have thought, oh, maybe they have like a rope and they're running up that way. Nope. No ropes. They're just running up the wall. Guess because they're Huns. Rohans or whatever they're called. Daniel Thorne says, Disney tried beating the pirates and only ended up beating themselves. Oh, pretty much. Daniel Thorne then says, Mulan is a Mary Sue. In this film, she is. Absolutely. Like, so in the original animation, what do you have? You have a woman who's trying to protect her father, goes through this whole emotional journey where you're like, I get it. I totally am on your side. You know, the culture of the time is not supportive of what you're trying to do, but you still want to save your father. So you're there. You're invested already before she's even done anything. Then she gets there and she has to train. And she has to train harder than anyone else. And you want to know why? Because, oh, wait, that's right. There's something called biological differences that make certain things easier for others, right? So kind of, sort of, in a little bit, right? Science, biology, things that we can't talk about anymore for some reason. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just one of those things where it's just so infuriating. It's so frustrating because in that original film, she has to train to get better and she has to train harder. And so you see what happens. You say, hey, I buy into this because she's working her ass off. And so you buy it when she's able to do all the things that she's able to do. In this movie, she just magically has these abilities. She's already good at fighting somehow, even though no one ever trains her. It's just so ridiculous. It really is. Sam, how's it going over on DLive? All right, back over to my YouTube peeps. Let's see. Tina B at 747 says, wait a minute. That stuff on the sword, it sounds kind of like what was on the father's sword in Madame Butterfly. So Disney's borrowing again? Yeah, I know, right? Interesting. Oh, that reminds me, Tina. I mentioned this to Tina and Steph in our chat on Twitter. There's a point in the movie where they literally rip off a certain old classic movie called Spartacus. Because there's a part in which Mulan is trying to convince the generals, because now she's revealed herself, right? It wasn't by accident. No, she rode out in the middle with her hair down, dropping her father's armor to say, this is who I am. And I have powers, by the way, too. So I can beat up everybody, and it's awesome. And so she comes back, and she's trying to convince the generals and the people leading it to believe her. And so they're obviously questioning her, and because, oh, you're a woman, we can't trust you, and you lied, right? That actually has more to do with that, which I'm happy. You know, one positive, it had more to do with the fact that she lied about who she was, more so than the fact that she was a woman. Well, I was like, okay, I can kind of get on board with that a little bit, because honesty is important. However, the moment that I'm speaking of is that she's saying something, and then all of a sudden, all the friends that she had, they don't develop those characters at all either, just happen to be there behind, in the same area. And then they say, I believe Mulan, I believe Mulan, I believe Mulan, I believe Mulan. And so literally it's like 10 I believe Mulans. And I'm like, I am Spartacus, I am Spartacus, I am Spartacus, I am Spartacus. I was like, oh, I see what you did there. Yep. This film just borrows from much better films that did it so much better, including the animated version from 98. Andrew Hoy at 749 is a member. What I also find amazing in TV shows and movies is how people die instantly from a single arrow. I know, right? And then you have that video coming around on Twitter where someone was shot like 7 or 8 times and still kept running. But one arrow. CW Trixie, what's going on, sir? At 749 says, didn't you know that those ancient battles were always very clean and no one bled to death? Really? Orange Eye Review says, Odin context, PG-13 F-bomb. I saw one movie that allowed 2 F-bombs, The Adjustment Bureau. I wonder if there are other movies that let 2 F-bombs slide. Yeah, again, I don't really know. I think you had mentioned that on Twitter. I'm sure if you Google it, they'll explain to you how it got away with that. Maybe the version that has the 2 was an extended edition that didn't come out in theaters. That would make some sense to me, but again, I honestly I don't know. Tina B says, I don't want Mulan Ray to do well anywhere. I want it to fail. I want Disney to fail. No exception. Tina B, I totally get it. I totally understand where you're coming from. And yeah. The Packin says, is it fair to say Mulan is the bland, emotionless love child of woke multinational corporation, fathered by the quick to be offered TCP? Yes. Packin? That's pretty damn spot on. Pretty damn spot on. Slash of Neons, I don't believe those who pirate New Mulan should be prosecuted. Watching them as punishment. James Missionik, welcome. I saw that name in the chat. Thursday the Warrior says, could you please repeat what you said about comments in addition to the scrolling text and post by the mods about once every 3 minutes would work for me? Damn you, 13th Warrior. I forgot almost, yeah, that's the other thing too, right? My mods, who are both amazing, Tina and Steph, they also post that like every few minutes too. So it's like, I don't understand how people can't get it. I don't, except for one thing. There are people that are randomly popping in and jumping out, popping back in, and they're just leaving that one comment because they want it to be read. But they aren't actually watching the stream, and so they wouldn't know what the rules are because they're not really here. It's like, well, okay, well then I'm glad that I have the policy where you have to leave the tag, because it means that the people that are here and care are going to get their comments read. Renegade Spider 2099. What about business? It's not a trade or liberal arts. Ooh, yeah, I see what you said there, Renegade. I guess maybe you can make some exceptions for certain things, because business is also important as well, right? If a business degree means that your plan is, and whether you follow through with it or not, that's something that is obviously something we can't guarantee. But if your mindset is you want to start a business or join a business or build one, hey, I think that's worthy of investing in as well. So yeah, I would say, boom, add that to it as well. Why not? Alrighty, let us see. Thirsty the Warrior 75 says, Mulan greater than Great Wall. I never saw Great Wall. Great Wall looked terrible. So let's see. Peter Hahn says, Mulan greater than Unicorn Store. Oh yeah. Unicorn Store is kind of in that same category as Artemis Fowl, where it's just complete trash. Yeah, absolutely. Mulan's the remake of Mulan's definitely better than Unicorn Store. General Winkster, oh, don't tell me how to live. I'll be wrong if I want to. I'll tell you how to live. Pet troll. Pavidin says Great Wall was better in his opinion. Yeah, and that deals with monsters. And to be fair, I mean, because they established that universe in the film is supposed to be kind of like the sci-fi thing, having those crazy things happen, you're like, okay, well, it's supposed to be that way. Versus this one where you're like, oh, it's realistic or supposed to be, and now there's this chi power thing. Okay. Tina B, Mulan Ray didn't need any real armor. She sounds like she had plenty of plot armor. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. And yes, the Rohans. Waiting for Nerdrotic. Laura says, finished V for Vendetta. Interesting. I love the film. It's a movie I have not seen since it first came out, but I remember at the time I thoroughly enjoyed it. And every time I think about it, I have fond memories because it's a film that was very well written. I mean, the speech that V gives alone is fantastic. Great acting throughout. Even though it does have crazy Natalie Portman, she does give a great performance in it. So, you could still be crazy in real life and still give good acting performances. It happens. So I think Natalie Portman was great in it. All the other supporting characters were great. And yeah, it's interesting how the story has been taken over by commie anarchist. And you're like, you're totally missing the point. You are totally missing the point. But yeah, I love that film. Let's see. Signu, how is it going? General Wingster, I also agree with you. This crap started in universities, and Trump should go after them next. Yeah, and again, whoever president is, right? Because obviously we have an election coming up in about a month or two. As you all know, I'm very much a independent person. People might think, you're a Trump supporter. No, I'm actually not. Just because I retweet certain things on Twitter doesn't say anything about who I am. I'm an independent. I voted third party in 2016. I plan to vote third party again this year as well. That's just me. You vote for, again, if you're an American, you vote for whoever you want. And I won't really judge you for it, but I will say this much, right? Think about who you're voting for and think, okay, is this person really going to make my life better or worse? Or is it going to have no impact on me? CW Trixie says, the Huns from Rohan, the village hidden in the sword, reference the Naruto. I've never seen Naruto before. However, the Huns from Rohan. Exactly. Oh, man, it's so ridiculous. Rob D says, Odin, since Rohan keeps being brought up, which battle do you think was more well done? Battle of Helm's Deep or Battle of Pelennor Fields? I don't recognize that second battle. Let me double check that. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because for me, the Battle of Helm's Deep is one that is just so iconic, and it's always known as that. Where the Battle of what is called Pelennor Fields normally is just called the final battle, and so I think, or one of the final battles. So that's why I've never heard that name used before, to be honest. So yeah, now knowing which fight scene you're talking about there, I absolutely would say Helm's Deep. Helm's Deep has such great buildup. Everything about it's just I personally think Two Towers is one of my favorites out of that three. Because all of them have a special place in my heart, right? The first one is just a great starting movie. There's so many great scenes. It's a film that I could just watch over and over and over again and just always enjoy it. For me, though, Two Towers just has, I think, Helm's Deep, which is the best fight scene in any of the movies. And then, of course, Return of the King is the end, and it's a great end point overall. So, yeah. I would go with Helm's Deep, though. General Wingster says, Odin, be a man. You must be swift as the coursing river. Be a man. With all the force of the great typhoon. With all the force of the raging fire. Mysterious as the dark side of the moon. I wish. Instead, nope. A little slight orchestration when they're training. And that's it. Tina B that says, I am Spartacus, and that flowing dark hair looking like she left a salon. I know, right? It's like her hair has been tied up. She's been in battle. She's been probably sweaty and dirty, and yet, flowy, perfect straight hair. Oh, yes, that's exactly how that would work, right? Oh, man. But it's realistic. Guys, it's realistic. It's fine, okay? It's more accurate to the story. That's why we didn't have the great songs and Mushu. 70B, dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow. Eric K, I hope all is well on your long weekend. Eric K, thank you, dude. Yeah, I'm so happy to have a long weekend. Family in town, mother-in-law is here, so that's why I might be trying to wrap things up a little earlier tonight so I can go up and hang out with them. But yes, I'm very excited to be able to sleep in on Monday, though won't be very restful Monday because that's obviously I want to spend as much time with my family as I can. So Monday will probably be the day that I mow the lawn in the morning. And so not much rest for me, but hey, it's okay. It's all in preparation for not getting any sleep when baby Thor arrives, which, by the way, we're about 2.5 weeks away from full term, not from the due date, but from full term. So yeah, literally it could happen at any time. It's very, very exciting though. Let us see. All right, so caught up on YouTube. Let me see what's going on over on ZD Live. Daniel Thorne says, how do you think Enola Holmes will be? Trailer description says she is busy outsmarting Sherlock Holmes while solving mysteries. Yeah, I saw the trailer, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't hate it. And I think the reason why is because I love the cast. I love the cast that's involved in the movie. You know, obviously you have Henry Cavill there, and I think he's fantastic. You know, the fact that he's going to be Sherlock is great. And then you have, I always forget her name, but Stranger Things girl. And I think she's a great actress. So I think it has certain elements that are definitely going to draw me into kind of want to watch it. But then obviously you have this whole thing of, oh yeah, it's the sister of Sherlock Holmes and the sister's smarter. So for me, it's like, if she's as smart, that makes sense, right? Same family. You have people of equal intelligence. That makes sense to me. But if they're going to try and do the whole, oh, she's smarter and she's outsmarting him constantly, that could get annoying. But as I said, the cast alone might actually draw me to actually want to watch it. Because it's not a... Is it a movie or is it a miniseries? I think it might be a miniseries. I honestly can't remember. But yeah. Daniel Thorne says, what would you feel if Pelosi became president? Oh, dear Lord. Yeah, so that is actually not outside the realm of possibility. If anyone follows Tim Pool, you've heard him talk about it. But essentially this, and it becomes, to me, it's becoming more of a possibility every day. And the mindset is this. And if you really want to find out more about it, watch Razor Fist. Oh, my gosh. I really recently discovered Razor Fist because he was on an episode of Friday Night Tights with us a couple weeks ago. Dude's awesome. Like, the dude is legit. He's changed my mind on Michael Jackson, and he's done a great job of covering this too, because he talked about the Arizona Senate race from 2016, and he mentioned things I actually never knew. I knew that the race took several days to be called. I didn't know the reason why, though, and apparently the reason was because basically an emergency was called by the person running the election and said, oh, we're going to allow emergency voting after Election Day. Voting occurred after Election Day at emergency centers that luckily were only located in heavy Democrat areas. And what started off with the Republican winning by 2 percentage points ended up being the Democrat winning by 2 percentage points. That's a 4-point swing in the days after the election was over, with 99% of the precincts posting, because people were voting after the fact. And I didn't know that. And so I looked at that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly the kind of thing that they're going to try and do this year. Only now the way that they'll do it is through mail-in voting. And for those that don't know the difference, absentee voting has existed for many, many years, and it works. It means if I was in college, I actually had to do this once. I had to do this for the 2008 election. I had to do this when Obama was elected. I had to request a ballot because I was from Louisiana, but I was living in New York. And so I had to actively request a ballot. It was then sent to me, and I then had to send it in. And then they had to, it didn't get counted automatically. They had to confirm that it was legitimate. They had to confirm that it was the ballot that they sent originally, confirm the signature, things like that. And then it was counted. And the whole process went very well. Mail-in balloting is different because a ballot goes to every person, whether you requested it or not, which means now you can have ballot harvesting, which is exactly what happened in Arizona. Instead of it being sent to people, though, it was, oh, we're going to set up these emergency voting centers in specific areas and then have voting happen after the fact. And so basically the mindset is this. If that happens, and if the results of the election are contested, and if lawsuits continue all the way up until January when the term of the current Congress and of the current president ends, it means there is no president. And it means that if the House elections are verified, that if Nancy Pelosi is still Speaker of the House, she becomes president because she's the next in line, because the president and vice president will be in limbo because they would have lost their job because their time ran out. And if the court cases are going on fighting over whether the ballots are legitimate, it's chaos. And the more days that pass by, I'm like, this is the year that would happen. Think about everything that's happened in 2020. And if you tell me that that's unrealistic, you have not been paying attention. Think about all the crazy crap that's happened this year and tell me honestly that that is not a possibility. That's all I'll say. Anyway, Renegade Spider study business. That's why I asked. Well, yeah, Renegade Spider. Yes, I would say definitely that should be something where we offer aid to you. All right, let's see. Renegade then says, I enjoyed the first 3 episodes of The Boys Season 2. Can't wait for the next one's Friday. Boom, thank you. Yeah, so I'll just say a quick word on that since it is in the title. So I've seen the first 3 episodes of The Boys Season 2. Currently, I'm loving it. I love the characters. I love the actors. I love the storytelling elements. It's just all very well done, all well put together. Some people have been concerned whether or not it's woke or not. I would say it's not. It hasn't really established itself that way. There's, of course, a new character this season called Stormfront, and the character has been gender swapped from the comics. However, what has been revealed in episode 3, which if you know the comics, it's not really a spoiler. So if you don't want to know anything about the season at all, I'll put my hand up like this, and as soon as I stop talking about it, I'll put my hand down. But anyway, so I guess kind of spoilers coming in 3, 2, and 1. So basically, Stormfront is a racist. So is a white supremacist in the comics. And so in the last episode, in the episode 3 of The Boys, she actually, as she's about to kill a character, says something about the skin color of the person she's killing, while at the same time, as she was going up the stairs in this apartment, she was killing innocent people. So it was a low-income area, and so she was killing black people, and then she kills an Asian guy, and then calls him a yellow something. So, yeah, so that character, apparently, that's accurate to the comics. And what I thought was, this is if they stick to this, this could be a huge thing, because you would think, oh, they gender swapped this person. But one, they've already kind of mocked identity politics, because they try to do the whole, oh, this is the first time that the Sevens ever had 3 women. And guess what? One of the characters was like, nope, this is stupid, and then dropped it. And it was hilarious. But now the fact that you have a strong female character that's been gender swapped, not to push political agenda, but rather to still be the same character from the comics, could be cool. But obviously, grain of salt. Okay, spoiler talk is done. Christopher Mills Tagna says, just got in. How was Mulan? D+. Angry Mango, hello. He's a member on the channel. And says, just dropped by to wish you all a happy Labor Day weekend. If you're on the road this holiday, please remember to drive safe. If you're not, for yourself. Do it for those that care about you. Okay, bye. Angry Mango, thank you very much. Yes, reminder, please drive safe. Andrew Hoyle at 805. V for Vendetta was great. Natalie Portman's English accent, not so great. Yeah, the accent wasn't great. The acting was good. Maybe not the accent. Lord Toad says, Natalie is pretty good in several things. I agree. Absolutely agree. I forgot about her accent. Eric K. V for Vendetta. I guess the comedy people are cheering for the government, the oppressive government. I guess so. Lar. I think I see what you were doing there. So I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read your name, J Stowe. Honestly, Odin, they call any reasonable person a Trump supporter. Yeah, seriously. Wait, you don't support Biden? That means you must support Trump. No, there's more than 2. There's more than 2 people running. Oh, man. Tina B, I like Two Towers the best, and I'm not sure why it hit me the most. Yeah, there's just a lot of iconic things in Two Towers, I think. ZK Man says, I'm voting the way of Montgomery Brewster. Vote none of the above. Yeah, or if you can, write it in. Oh, yes, I sing sometimes. Even when my voice is tired. And I probably shouldn't. All right, let's go ahead and try to wrap things up, because I do want to try and end a little bit earlier. I say that. Let's see. Over on DLAV first, Camden High says, isn't it sad how the first question everyone asks about a movie or show is, was it woke? I agree. Camden Heights, I agree. It's very sad that we live in an era where that has to be the first question that's asked. It's really sad. It should be, hey, how's the story? How's the acting? How's the direction? How's the cinematography? But instead, we live in an age where things are getting so destroyed that by identity politics that we have to ask those questions. Tina B says, I just saw Sherlock Holmes' sister show. In the old Cumberbatch Sherlock show, his sister was a psychopath. They had to lock away. I'll pass. Ah, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, but I guess to me, the whole, lock her away. Well, again, genius and insanity can sometimes be very close together. So that's why, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. Andrew Hoyle, I didn't like the breaking of the fourth wall with the Enola Holmes trailer. You're not Ferris Bueller and you're not Deadpool. Stop it. Okay, yeah, for sure. Lord Toth says, I was posted to the spot that the 13th Warrior was filmed. Oh, really? Interesting. Lord Toast says, met all the actors. Nice. Very, very cool. 13th Warrior from Louisiana. I was born in Lake Charles. Moved when I was a wee one, though. Oh, nice. Hope everyone's family. I hope your family was safe with Laura, because I know that it hit around close to the Lake Charles area. So I hope everyone's okay. But yeah, I'm born and raised in New Orleans. Now living in Tennessee and much happier. Tina B says, well, her hair will look amazingly ugly if she becomes president. Context Nancy Pelosi, that piece of grrr. Yeah, I really do hope that no person working in that industry in California ever allows her to come in for like the next year. That would be awesome. Imagine if Pelosi couldn't get her hair done in any location. That would be amazing. And you know what? They should. Andrew Ho says, if Nancy Pelosi is president, then who's going to be president? Who's going to present Tales from the Crypt? Oh, that's mean, Andrew. That's mean. But also, oh, Nancy. Oh, Nancy. Come back to the faith, please. The fact that she uses her Catholic identity as a crutch, it's like, no. If you are rejecting key elements of church teaching, I'm sorry, you're not a real Catholic. Simple as that. I know Father understands what I'm talking about. Let us see. Speaking of which, hail Father, Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father. Glad to see you here. Stephanie B says, I muted. Oh, that's why I put my hand up, Steph. That way you could see as soon as my hand went down, the spoilers ended. Yeah. That's why I put the hand down. That's why I need to get a sign like Nerdrotic, though. I think, was it Tina who mentioned that? I need to get a spoiler sign. So that way I don't have to put my hand up the whole time. General Wingster says, guys, I know that I broke my own rules about COVID, but the salon set me up, so it's all good. Exactly, right? And now she's, oh, I was the victim. I was set up. They owe me an apology. Shut up, Nancy. Shut up. I hope that your district finally wakes the hell up and votes you out of office, instead of being the sheep that they've been for the last how many years? 20 plus years that you've been in office and done nothing. I've been Speaker of the House, and you've done a terrible job. Rob D, we're also in an age where the second a female is in a show, in a movie, is shown in a movie or show, people immediately check out. Yeah, it is. It's sad, because there are some very good movies and good shows that feature strong characters like that, but it's something that's worth noting. Tina B, Cumberbatch's Sherlock's sister was insane, as in Hitler Stalin levels of insane. She needed to be put away. Yeah, but as I said, right, so still, even when we talk about those people, right, being completely evil and insane, you have to also say that they were, in a lot of ways, still brilliant. No one is able to convince millions of people to follow them, to kill people, unless they are having some elements of intelligence. Now, again, you can be intelligent and also be a psychopath and be insane and be evil. But yeah, I haven't seen all of the Cumberbatch Sherlock show. I've seen a few of the seasons. It's really good. I like it a lot. Rhaegar Targaryen says, based on what you, Gary, and Lady Gravemaster have said about The Boys today, I am now compelled to watch it. I am starting season 1 tonight. Yeah, so you're going to have some moments where you're like, oh, I don't know, this seems a little bit too relevant. And that's really just in the first episode. As you keep watching, though, it becomes more about the characters, and I think it does a really good job of staying away from politics. Tina B, putting my name and Biden's name in the same sentence is enough to get you excommunicated. Shall I do it? No, Tina, no. No. Don't do it. Hail, Father. Jay Stowe, for the election, I'm going to wear my Picard Riker 2020. Make it so, T, and write them on the ballot. Dude, Jay Stowe, please, go right ahead and do it, man. Yeah, Tennessee, you can write in names. However, they do have to be, I think, registered somewhere, either in the state or in the country. Part of me was like, I should write in Ron Paul. I miss him. He was always a breath of fresh air, because everyone on the stage, right, for Republicans and Democrats, they're always like, oh yeah, we're all together on this. And Ron Paul was always just like, I'm not with them. These guys are trying to push for war overseas. I was like, dude, this guy's going to call people out. Yeah, I miss that. I miss it. Wish both sides had someone like that every year. Remind me a lot of Tulsi Gabbard did that a lot. That's why I was fond of her in the Democrat side. Father says our district will finally fall into the sea when the sins of San Fran, and you know what I mean, finally lead to the destruction. I totally hear what you're saying, Father. Yes, Father, I hear you. I hear you, Father. Then says, gotta ask again about the woke SJW Wonder Woman graphic novel featuring stories about AOC, Senator Warren, Talib, Ginsburg, Beyonce, and the drag queen from NYC who's a hero. What? Have not heard of it. Sounds like garbage. JJ, how's it going, good sir? Marianne. How's it going? Is the gay man to be brilliant is to be insane. Boom. True words. Renegade Spider 299. I agree the boys is great. I can't wait to see where they go with it. And Stormfront thankfully isn't cringe. No, she's not. Because she is still just as evil as the character in the comics is. So it's like they could have done it with a white man. And that would have been, ooh, this is very timely. But they gender swapped it. So now I'm kind of like, oh, they made you think that they were, pushing for women, but she's still evil. So is it a play on that? Is it like an anti-woke? Again, there's a lot of levels to it where you're like, I don't know. Let's see here. Gay man says, Ron Paul is great. He might be retired, but I still follow him on social media. Yeah, I know that he has like his own like news website and such, but I don't get to follow it anymore. So, 70B, I will not. All right. Anyway, let me check over on, let's see, Daniel Thorne. How was Ridley Scott's Raised by Wolves? I've not seen it. It kind of looked like it may have had some issues with it overall. So, but anyway, hope everyone is doing well and has a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the 3-day weekend overall. I do need to shout out my YouTube members at the let's see, Army of Asgard and Keeper of the Bifrost level, though. So a huge shout out to Bruce, Andrew Hoyle, Sushi Joe, Eric K, Orange Hat Reviews, Adam Avery, Latino Slant, The Bosco 2000, Twirly Wolf, Jay Stowe, and Aiden Vickery. Thank you very, 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 very much so for being amazing and beautiful people. And thank you so much for being members on the channel. And shout out to especially the Valks, Tina, and Steph. Thank you so very much for being here today. Okay, good. I was like, Heimdall, are you working? He was working earlier. Still 80 people watching. Again, hopefully no one got spoiled on The Boys. I did try to put the hand up when I was talking into in-depth spoilers, but if I mentioned anything that was spoilery, I do apologize. Again, I did my best to try to avoid, specific plot points at any point, but obviously I'm not perfect, and I do make mistakes sometimes. But anyway, thank you so very much for being here. You're all amazing, beautiful people. Please make sure you smash the like button on the way out. And also, please make sure you do give people, specifically Stephanie B and Tina B, some love before you leave because they do a great job. I'm going to go spend some time with the family. You guys are awesome. Remember, Mulan's terrible. I gave it a Disney Plus, D+. That's how bad it was. I also thoroughly enjoy The Boys. Obviously, Season 1 was great. First 3 episodes of Season 2 are also fantastic as well. And we live in some crazy times. 2020 is not over. And something tells me that things will get even crazier before the year ends. And I hope it's for the best. But who knows? You guys are awesome. I love you guys. My September video for Patreon Subscribe Star is done. So have a wonderful day, everybody. And as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to all of my September Patreon and Subscribe Star members: Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator, Brian P., David Bobrizik, Dion, Divex, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, The Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toon, Jonathan Carney, Kenneth Camille, Lady T, Laura the Modern Major General Story, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Outpost Dyer, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, and Tina B. Thank you very much for being my supporters over on Patreon. And to my Subscribe Star members, stand for John B., Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, Darkstar 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888-209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J-Rod the Beer Guru, Nebadon G. Adams, and the K-Man. Thank you so very much for being my supporters over on Subscribestar, and a shout out to all of my supporters on both platforms. If you yourself want to get your name shouted out at the end of every single video and live stream, please consider joining on Patreon or Subscribestar. You can also get access to exclusive giveaways, to an exclusive podcast that I do twice a month with my friend John the Flick Pig Flickinger, where we talk about just random stuff going on in the movies, our reviews, and also we take Q&A questions from everyone as well in those categories. So if you would like to have any of those things or access to them, or even the biggest of them all, to be one of my chosen of Valhalla and get a t-shirt during your first month, and also have access to be featured on the channel once a month on the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, please consider checking that out in the links in the description below. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.